I start from the supposition that the world is topsy-turvy, that things are all wrong, that the wrong people are in jail and the wrong people are out of jail, that the wrong people are in power and the wrong people are out of power, that the wealth is distributed in this country and the world in such a way as not simply to require small reform, but to require a drastic reallocation of wealth. I start from the supposition that we don't have to say too much about this, because all we have to do is think about the state of the world today and realize that things are all upside down. Now, if you don't think, if you just listen to TV and read scholarly things, you actually begin to think that things are not so bad, or that just little things are wrong. But you have to get a little detached and then come back and look at the world, and you are horrified. So we have to start from that supposition that things are really topsy-turvy. And our topic is topsy-turvy, civil disobedience. Now, as soon as you say the topic is civil disobedience, you're saying our problem is civil disobedience. That is not our problem. Our problem is civil obedience. Our problem is the numbers of people all over the world who have obeyed the dictates of the leaders of their government and have gone to war. And millions have been killed because of this obedience. We recognize this for Nazi Germany. We know that the problem there was obedience, that the people obeyed Hitler. People obeyed. That was wrong. They should have challenged, and they should have resisted. And if we were only there, we would have showed them. Even in Stalin's Russia, we can understand that. People are obedient. All these herd-like people. Remember those bad old days when people were exploited by feudalism? Everything was terrible in the Middle Ages. But now we have Western civilization, the rule of law. The rule of law has regularized and maximized the injustice that existed before the rule of law. That is what the rule of law has done. When in all the nations of the world, the rule of law is the darling of the leaders and the plague of the people, we ought to begin to recognize this. We have to transcend these national boundaries in our thinking. Nixon and Brezhnev have much more in common with one another than we have with Nixon. J. Edgar Hoover has far more in common with the head of the Soviet secret police than he has with us. It's the international dedication to law and order that binds the leaders of all countries in a comradely bond. That's why we're always so surprised when they get together. They smile, they shake hands, they smoke cigars. They really like one another, no matter what they say. What we are trying to do, I assume, is really to get back to the principles and aims and spirit of the Declaration of Independence. This spirit is resistance to illegitimate authority and to forces that deprive people of their life and liberty and right to pursue happiness. And therefore, under these conditions, it urges the right to alter or abolish their current form of government, and the stress had been on abolish. But to establish the principles of the Declaration of Independence, we're going to need to go outside the law, to stop obeying the laws that demand killing or that allocate wealth the way it's been done, or that put people in jail for petty technical offenses and keep other people out of jail for enormous crimes. My hope is that this kind of spirit will take place not just in this country, but in other countries, because they all need it. People in all countries need the spirit of disobedience to the state, which is not a metaphysical thing, but a thing of force and wealth. And we need a kind of declaration of interdependence among people in all countries of the world who are striving for the same thing.
That must be true, for I have yet to see a detailed or in-length report of our missions on any public venue, other than conspiracy shows and anti-government websites. I risk everything for disclosing so much information, and you will find very few like me. Even my own flight crew would have me arrested and court-martialed if they knew of this dialogue. That is why I cannot email you directly. But from what your cousin tells me, you are also risking everything just to get this information out to your colleagues. I salute you, sir, for standing up to the establishment and Big Brother. I would love to go home tomorrow and not rack up one more single minute of flight time except for a sweet little Piper Cub or a rat-tail barn racer. I miss those beautiful blue skies from my youth, and I am ashamed for hazing over that dream. Maybe more of my fellow pilots will read or hear about this and decide to come forward as well. I only know a small fraction of the larger picture, as they compartmentalize everything. Should I become aware of any new significant developments, I will email your cousin. And now this is the man I have contact with. He says he senses a wavering within the ranks and feels that a kind of mutiny is being boiled to the surface of this whole geoengineering global whitewashing, if you catch my drift. My cousin still has friends in high places too, so he is helping to protect the pilot. This came December 11. Last word from the pilot was, quote, all pilots on leave are required to report to their CO by December 15th for special training operations to qualify for Indigo Phase 2 flights, expected to be initiated by January 21. Those were his words, not the actual Air Force message. He wanted me to stress that. He believes that the focus of their flights will be moved to areas east of California and Texas in order to progress the drought further into the heartland. Plus, he feels that a very new, extremely toxic chemtrail mix is going to be sprayed using new technology that makes these special chemtrails completely invisible. Atmospheric shield of protection. He doesn't believe that either. So that's the end of the message from this chemtrail pilot. And I just, from my own experience, I've had a lot of contact with this guy for 6 months via the internet, and basically everything he's told me has turned out to be true, so I have no reason to doubt any of this. So, hope you can forward this. This also points out how difficult it is to fight this program, because the people inside the program are not subject to public opinion